Good morning, people.
Morning.
We have someone with us who makes us already smile when we're just like looking at him and not even talking. So we want to wish Zavion Kotze from Zavion Kotze Events Company and the amazing wedding venue Inimitable a very good morning and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, lucky girls. I appreciate it so much. And hello to everyone that's watching.
Zavion, you have a very special story, not only like in terms of your career path, but I think generally also like from just a career perspective. And what we like to start with always is the way, like how you actually got to where you are. And I want to actually throw this out right in the beginning because your story is a little bit longer, I think, than some others. With some curveballs that were thrown in the way and some maybe detours that you had take to come where you are. So for those maybe that are following that maybe just know bits and pieces of your story, and I think your personal story is very important to understand where you are right now in your life and how you got there. So fill us a little bit in about the journey of Zavion Kotze to become like today, like one of the most acclaimed wedding planners in South Africa with his own venue. But how did that all come about and start?
Well, again, just thank you for having me. We've known each other for years. I think before I sort of blew up, we had met each other a while ago. And
when you was in need for a plumber. I still remember that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. You had a water leakage, or I don't know what, your bathroom was flooded. But I appreciate that you first said you're going to cancel the meeting, and I was a little bit upset because I was already at the place, and then you phoned me and you said, just wait a little bit, I'm coming when I organize the plumber, and you came. This is still what I remember.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but this is how we met. I mean,
I know, it's fun. I love it.
It's important for his
It's
personality.
an essential service. So everyone who's a plumber, just to make sure you're an essential service.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is what I wanted to say. It's important to know how he is because this is how he behaves. And I think that is appropriate.
Yeah. So, well, firstly, I have to apologize for the background because I'm building a house at the moment. So these are lights that are going in the house. And I'm just sitting here in the office. It's a stormy day, which is why it's a little bit dark. But yeah, I started in the industry. When I left school, I played professional rugby for 2 years down at the Sharks Academy. I played for the under-19s and the under-21 Sharks team. And I played for the Sharks Sevens in Singapore. So that was great. And then after my rugby career, I moved down to Stellenbosch, and I will never really forget it because at that stage, my parents were building a wedding venue and something. You guys know it; it's memoir. And at that stage, my brother and I were studying, and I worked at my first wedding ever in Stellenbosch at Clouds, the wedding venue, and I had no idea what I was doing because.
Like many others for the first wedding.
7 million different wine glasses for each bloody meal, and they were like, "Don't you know this?" I was like, "No, I do not know this. I'm Afrikaans. We drink brandy and coke." So anyway, and that was the first time I worked at a wedding. And then that year, financially as a family, we went through quite a lot. So there was no more money for me to continue my studies, and I made the decision to move up to Johannesburg to help where I could and to get through that time. And yeah, it was definitely a life changer for me because I all of a sudden got introduced into the world of weddings. And you were joking about plumbing, but I helped with the plumbing and I helped with plastering and painting. And, it just helped everywhere where I could. And my parents realized and they finished their venue and I started working. I started as a waiter and then looked after the waiters, and now figured out, the barmen make a lot of money, so let me start being a barman. And then I think the thing happened, I'd say about 10 years ago. a wedding planner, I will not name who,
Okay.
a wedding planner came to work at the venue, and this person just sort of swanned around and did sweet nothing, absolutely nothing. And I looked at this person and I thought, you know, you're doing absolutely nothing. It looks pretty, but not exceptional. And I'm sure I can do this and make money because, I mean, you're not doing anything. I could do something and make it. And
at least it was more than the barman.
yes, and wedding planners make much more than barman. So I started, I registered Zavion Kotze Events Company, and about 2 or 3 months later, at one of their food tastings, I sort of like introduced myself and I said, hi, I'm Zavion and I'm a wedding planner. Meanwhile, I've never planned a single wedding. And I was like, let me help your things. And then I got no response really from like the audience. Because, you know, when you speak to an audience, you'll get like a response or whatever. And I got no response. And then I was like, oh, this is just never going to work. And I was like, and I finished off and I was like, by the way, I only charge 6,000 Rand to plan a wedding. And then I got my first 8 bookings that night because I was so cheap. And that's where I started off. And then I did that for about 2 years, almost 3 years. And then I went on, not everyone knows, but I got the opportunity to go on Survivor South Africa. Mm-hmm. And before Survivor, I was really quite busy. You know, my first show of business, we had 6 weddings, and then the other 2 within the following year. And then in that financial year, I had about 18 weddings. And the year that I went on Survivor, it was about 22 or 24 weddings. So I was really getting there in terms of my career. And then I went and disappeared off the face of the planet for a month. And, you know,
can I ask you just at this point, like, why in this moment in time? I mean, you know, you have like all those weddings in the books. Like, what is it that you said, like, I have to try this? Like, this is now, I really have to get out. I like, what was this incentive, let's say, like, to say, like, was it, I want to become a TV star, I want to be known by more people? Like, what was the incentive to say at that moment in time, because you felt maybe you were getting someplace, personal, like, or was it just like, I want to go, I don't want to like be here anymore?
So ironically, as a child, I always watched Survivor and I always wanted to do it.
Oh, okay.
And I'm a big fan of the show, obviously. But for that particular season, I didn't feel like it was my time to actually enter it, and I wasn't going to enter. And one of my friends entered, and I went to go and stand in the queues with her at the auditions, not with the intention to actually enter the show. Okay. And you couldn't actually join the queues without filling out an entry form.
Okay.
So
bad luck! What a bad luck!
Filled out an entry form, and a month and a half later, I was sitting on the island in the middle of Malaysia, and I was like, "Cool, so here we are. Let's do this." So.
This is life sometimes, you know, like it comes from unexpected corners. Yes.
You've got a plan, and then just life just completely changes it around. So I did Survivor, and it really changed my life. I met you ladies after it was on air, and at that stage, so with Mnet, you had to wait a whole calendar year before you could appear on any television show. And, I really thought that when I came back from Survivor, my career would explode, because now you're sitting on the island, you've got absolutely nothing to do, and all you think about is your future and family and what are your plans and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, you know, I'm going to get back from Survivor and my career is just going to go crazy, because now everyone's going to know who I am. And that really wasn't the case. I didn't necessarily get more because I was on TV. It was just, and one of the most difficult things that happened is, because I had already sort of established myself as being a wedding planner in Joburg, and with our industry, it's such a tight-knit industry. When I came back from Survivor, I had lost 18 kilograms, and I really looked ill. And I obviously couldn't tell anyone where I was, and I had disappeared off the face of the planet for a month. And this really nasty rumor started going around that I was on drugs and that I was in a rehab facility, and that's why I look so ill. And I think that was the first time I got the bite of the industry in terms of gossip and people talking too much. And I really just kept quiet. And then when Survivor went on air, all of those people that said those things all of a sudden realized. And I think that was the first time that they also learned a lesson to not just assume.
Unfortunately, there's too much of this in our industry. If we could get rid of the half of it, the industry would much better. But maybe in the next 10 years.
It's also a human factor, you know. I think like a lot of people judge quite easily, and sometimes you have to tap into yourself and actually like really think like, what is it that you're doing? Because you have like, everyone has tendencies to judge people by appearance, by like, you know, a status, by like,
and
I don't know what they are dressed like. And I mean, this is sort of human, but you just have to go one step back and say, oh, wait a minute, what is it that I'm doing there? Because I mean, we all just not always look like this, you know, we go like out shopping, look different and all of this, and we just all need a certain respect. And I think this is what it comes down to.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. And for me, what happened is there was a definite shift in my thinking. Because that happened to me, it was the first step into my success, because I made a distinctive decision to stop listening to what other people are saying about me and actually focus on my career and my life and what I need to do. So I hadn't learned the lesson 100% yet, because after that, Academy year later, I got a reality show on my life on via TV, which is a channel on DSTV. That's when we met, because I went to the Karen Chan masterclass, and
you learned a lot.
I did. And you know, for me, when I went to the Karen Chan masterclass, I learned so much, and it was also an affirmation of the direction that I was heading in and where I wanted to go. And for me, it was really, really amazing in terms of that. And, you know, I will set it at every single one of my flower schools. Like the Karen Masterclass is something you have to attend once in your life, and even more than once in your life. You go as many times as you can. And after that, after I got my reality show, then I really thought, oh, yeah, this is it. Now we're going to explode. And it didn't really. Because all of the weddings that were filmed on the reality show had already been booked before we got that reality show. The industry was, again, like, oh, he's a public figure, and because he's on TV, that's why I get so many weddings. And again, I put my horse on and I stopped listening to what people were saying, and I left it. And, you know, we really just worked. And my husband is the reason for our success, because he is the one that has guided us through this journey, because I'm quite an emotional person. I get hurt very easily about what people say about me, and you know, and he taught me to not care about those things and to actually just focus on what we've got to do. And then you know, fast tracking, because we're still talking about my life. So long and boring. Sorry.
No. You know what? It's very interesting, and I also think this is important for people to understand. You know what? I was just thinking while you were talking, we interviewed like since lockdown, because that's actually created for people in our industry this piece of the puzzle. We talked to so many people, and everyone has such an incredible, unique story. And I was just thinking while you were talking, even though that I know you a little bit, I get to know you much better. And you know what? I think this is what we need in our industry. We need to get to know each other. Then we can also understand. Then we are not talking above each other. Then we're talking to each other. And I think exactly this is what is very much missing in a lot of cases. That's why it's so important to tell your story, to encourage people, young entrepreneurs. it is not just like that. The way is not like that. It goes up, it goes down, it goes straight up, down, and the same way, and this will never stop. I'm old enough to say that. I always feel like when it's going just up, no, then it comes another valley,
Yeah.
But I think this is also necessary to ground us, because if it always goes up, we are flying, that's not healthy.
Yeah.
And again, if I can just say that again, when you tell your story, you give people like less a platform to talk about you, because you have a voice and putting things out there. I think this is again important, why we want to actually also listen to those stories, because those success stories, sometimes I think also people say, you are successful, and you're like yourself, you don't feel like that, like you're like, people like see you as successful, but you think like you are somewhere like down the line. You just have big dreams and you have a big vision for what you want to achieve, but you're not there yet. You're far from there. But I think to give also people an incentive to know that it's worth fighting for. It's worth to like try to grab your dreams and go after your dreams, but it's not easy. I think this is, by the end of the day, also particularly now in the time that we are in, that's a super important message, that you have to hold on to your vision, and most importantly, you have to hold on to your personality, because like that's the only thing that you can influence. You can't influence your environment, you can't influence other people, like you can only influence yourself, and by that you can influence maybe other people.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I couldn't agree more, and that's why this is so spectacular that you guys are doing this. So well done to you.
Thank you very much. But we were like at your story now, like you were saying that so you were still waiting for that breakthrough, right? So that was still like something you were like, and I can imagine like you maybe you see your numbers on Instagram like rising, and you're like, now when is this coming? Like when
it's coming to life?
Yeah, when is the financial
When am I going to make money? Yeah.
Yeah, so when so tell us a bit more about that, like just like from the point of where you could maybe feel that things are changing, or maybe even you say, you know what, and there maybe we come to the more recent like developments when you opened your venue and you went your own way, and I think that ties very closely into it.
Yeah. So so after the reality show, we really still didn't really blow up. However, what happened for us is we had a change of thinking. We were a little bit burnt by someone in the industry, I won't say who, and that was a horrible time to go through. And it was then that horse blinker mentality really came into play, because it was kind of like the final straw for me in terms of the industry, and worrying about what everyone else thinks about us and what we do, and I just really just didn't care anymore. And what happened is a sizable job, and that for us is what changed our business, because even after the reality shows and Survivor and everything, our company page was only on not only because it was a lot of followers and all that kind of stuff. So we were on about, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 followers on our Instagram, and me thinking like, oh, we're going to be on TV. I think we're going to have like 200,000 followers like in a day, and that doesn't happen. And what happened is when we got that job, we did it. And this really has been the model of our success, and it's some advice for anyone that's starting out. Yeah. And it's something I always say at my class school to all of the attendees, is that instead of posting every single job that we were doing, because there is that mentality in the industry that you just want to show that you are doing something. And that is the worst thing you can do, in my opinion, because you're posting content out there that you don't necessarily want to attract. Yes. And I always use the sunflower as an example. And it's not that I have anything against sunflower. It's just that sunflowers aren't really my market. So And I think we all know what I mean by that. That's more a rustic bride and someone, you know, I want someone who loves peonies and roses and hydrangea and phalaenopsis. And so we stopped posting photos of every single job that we were doing. And we only focused on what was more expensive or looked better than what we had done in the past. And the minute we started doing that, there was a sudden rise in our followers. And people were hungry for that content. And it still happens to this day where people, we really don't post a lot on our Instagram. And people almost wait for what's next. What is he going to do next? You know, what are they going to do next? And that magic is what made us get to where we are. And you know, the same thing happened with our wedding venue, and which is why no one really knows what it looks like here at Inimitable. It's like a secret. So,
but it's also about quality over quantity, you know, like that's, and I'm always saying, like, one particular thing, you get what you show, you know. If you show a bicycle, you get people they're interested in a bicycle. If you show a Mercedes, you get people they're interested in a Mercedes. They would never ask, do you have bicycles? I mean, like, and otherwise, same way, it's vice versa, same way around.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Whenever people start out in the industry, they just want to show how busy they are. And I always give advice, because what happens is they're posting photos like they'll do balloons, they'll post balloons, and then they'll post a baby shower, and then they'll post a 21st, and then they'll post a wedding. And then I always ask those people, what do you actually do? What do you do? Do you do 21sts? Do you do baby showers? What do you do? Do you do weddings? Are you in the luxury market? Are you not? And that's the thing. Just because you're starting out, you don't have to show that you're busy. It's okay. And that is the power of a styled shoot. You get to do something that you want to attract. Like you so aptly said, if you want to have people buy a bicycle, you do a styled shoot with a bicycle. And you know, we had a change, because we used to do a lot of styled shoots, and we really stopped doing that because, to be quite frank, we got so busy. Because once we started doing that, we started getting huge traction. And then what happened is we booked another big job, and we booked another big job, and we really only shared those big jobs. And our Instagram really, it was over Christmas, and it was I think it was the same year that we did the Karen Chan masterclass. So when I came back, I made absolutely no money on the wedding, and I did what I learned, and I posted a photo of that. And I think we grew by about double the amount of followers on Christmas after we posted that photo. And I'll never forget it.
Christmas present, wow.
We got on a flight, because it was when I got engaged to John. We got on the flight in Johannesburg, flying to America, and when we left, we were on about like 6,000 followers. And then when we landed in New York, we were on 11,000. And then when we landed at our final destination, we were on about 14,000 followers, and literally all just because of one photo. And that showed us how important it is to only post what you want to attract and what people are striving for. So, and then fast track some more, John and I got engaged, and we ended up buying a wedding venue. Well, not a wedding venue. We bought a property which had absolutely nothing on it. Mostly because we got to that stage in our career where we were controlling everything, every aspect of the wedding. You know, we laughed about it just before we came online, that whole one-stop shop mentality. And, you know, that is how you make money. If you have the services that everyone can afford. Yeah. So we were traveling really. We were doing like 3 to 4 weddings a weekend, and we were traveling really all over the country. And I remember sitting down with John and just saying, John, and like just after we got engaged, and I was just like, John, we have to build our own venue, because then we will stop chasing business, and business will come to us.
Right.
And yeah, so we bought the property. There was absolutely nothing on it, and it's a misconception, but my God, was it a struggle. we it was.
It doesn't look like Instagram easy, yeah? No, is it
No,
not?
no, Instagram is a lie. It is all a lie. It looks so lovely and wonderful on Instagram, and you know, it was really, really tough. And a lot of people don't know this because, again, the industry assumptions that we got assistance from our parents. We really didn't. We paid for everything ourselves. We borrowed some money from our dad, and it really was not a lot of money. It got us. I think the money that we borrowed from our dad got spent in 1 month, and we still had 2 years of construction after that. So, you know, with our venue, and I say this every time we do a flower school, it is possible for a florist to build a wedding venue because we did it. We built this place purely based on making money from doing flowers. And that's what paid for the bricks and for the cement and the plaster and the plumbing. You know, we keep going back to plumbing.
Okay.
And you know, that's really what we did. We built this place bit by bit by bit. And you know, we eventually realized, cool, you know, we should probably finish in October 2018 because we got married at the end of 2016, 2.5 months after we bought the property. We were like, no, it's going to be so special. We'll get married at our own place. And, you know, it'll be wonderful. And it was a tough wedding. It was really tough on my team. They were incredible. And we really had an amazing wedding. And what happened is because we had done our wedding at our property, we automatically had marketing material in order to market our venue without there being absolutely
I
anything.
still remember that picture with the floor. I was amazed by the floor. Like that is something that I still remember. I mean,
Oh my
the flowers
goodness.
obviously definitely
Sylvia,
perfect.
I'll tell you a story about the floor. So
Yeah, tell us.
2 days before the wedding, we were going to have a wooden floor because it was a marquee. So it was just going to be a standard wood floor because we had no money to afford anything else. And it was so bad because I said to my husband, I was like, oh, you know, there's this product that I found and we can put on the floor and it'll make the floor look like water.
Yes.
And my husband said, well, how much is it? And I told him, and he said, absolutely not. We are not having that. There's no way. So I said, you know, it really is important because it needs to look beautiful and it's our marketing material. And he said, no, we're not spending that money. You know, there's just no ways and whatever. And it's the first and the only time I ever went behind his back. And I spent my own money and I bought the floor for us. And I had it installed. And it ended up being one of the biggest things that John loved the most about the wedding, the floor. And
oh, wow.
And
amazing.
It's worth the investment.
Exactly.
You can just say, it's really
was
beautiful.
It really took it to a different level. It was
yes,
exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
So then we had the marketing material, and you know, then we started really trying to build. And you know, I'll never forget it because we had clients that. So we only wanted to open up in October 2018, and we had clients that really twisted our arm, and they booked a date in April 2018. And we said, look, you know, if you're happy to take it as it is, and it's a construction site, and we'll try and get the first sort of 7 rooms ready for you. And, you know, we'll make sure that the structure of the chapel is there. We can't guarantee that there's going to be glass on it. And we'll do a marquee like John and I had. And, you know, they were wonderful because they were so easy. But it didn't change the fact that it was one of the most stressful times of our lives. So during that process, you know, we really had no money. And we got very close to the wedding and we were just not finished. And, you know, during that time, to put into perspective, John lost about 16 kilograms. I lost about 14. And it was really, really tough. And what made it even more tough is when everyone was saying that, oh, but they just get money from their parents and they can just build whatever they want. And that was the hardest thing for us, is that we knew how much we were struggling to actually finish our venue, while everyone in the industry was like, oh man, they've got it so easy, you know. And, you know, it really wasn't. We really fought hard. And, you know, I'll never forget it, because in February before the wedding, we just did not have money to purchase anything or do anything. And we had half-built rooms, and there was no chapel structure, and this wedding was coming in April, it was happening. And we went to the bank, and I cried in front of the businessman, and I said, "Oh, please, we can't get a loan, and we're too young, and you know, no one will give us money, and you know, is there anything that you guys can do?" And she had a look, and we qualified for an overdraft facility, which was like a miracle, because we managed to actually build a bit more. And then just before the wedding, we were just not finished. And at that time, we were busy filming wedding bashes on the internet. And it was particularly hard because on television, and this is the thing, everyone needs to realize this, that, you know, if people want to be on TV, and people want to chase fame, and people want to do that. I never wanted that. I never wanted to chase fame. I didn't want to be a public figure. And I still stick to my guns, because it makes your life so much harder. Because I had to film that season of wedding batches, and I knew that while I was having to put on that happy face for the country to watch and to do wedding bashes, our life was falling apart at home. And it was really, really tough to transition that.
The show must go on.
Yeah.
But
put
inside,
on,
like, how does it look inside of you? No one is asking.
and no one asks. And you know, I'm quite a private person, and we don't, you know, air our dirty laundry and things like that. But it was a really tough time. And then just before that wedding, the entire production crew from the wedding bashes, the night before the people were arriving for the wedding, they all came, and they helped us paint, and they helped us put curtains and linen, and they really saved our lives, and it was incredible. And I think over those 4 days, like 3 days before the wedding, the day of the wedding, and the day after, John and I think we got about an hour and a half sleep, because we really were just grinding. I was covered in paint, and then in between the paints, I needed to go do the flowers, and we needed to do that. And, you know, so that was quite a journey. And then, sorry, I'm talking for so much.
No,
and then,
I just want to say, whenever this situation comes again, give me a call. We jump into the car, and we will be there.
I will.
No problem.
Yeah, we are used to paint, because we have the same stories. We are the painters.
We do the work ourselves, so we know exactly how it is.
That's the thing, and that's the difference between I believe between the doers and the pointers in the industry, is that you get people that are doers, and they will pick up that bucket themselves, and they will carry it to the table, and they will go and fetch that thing themselves. And then there's the pointers, and the pointers in life will never get very far. It's the doers that get far. And we were like, oh, we've got bonus time now between April and October, and it was quite scary, because we had booked, I think, about 70 weddings, and there was about 14 or 15 weddings in October, same thing in November, and in December there was like 18 weddings or something like that, and we were just not finished. And we really went through the same thing again, where we had no money, couldn't finish. And, you know, eventually we did get through it, and we ended up finishing the property, and it was incredible when we were done. And we then worked in 2019 to really pay off all of the building costs. And, you know, it was a hectic year, because we had about 140 weddings, or 147 or something like that. And it was our first year of business, and it was incredible. And you know, we had done it. We had built the venue, and you know, that holiday. So last year in December, we went on a holiday, and we ended up being in Fiji. And you know, John and I celebrated New Year's over there. And at that stage, we weren't really having a holiday, because I was in the midst of planning the Tebow wedding.
Yeah.
And and Simizi and Mohale's wedding, which happened a
By the
week
way, that
after.
was both incredible. I mean, like, I looked a little bit behind the scene and I see
Always like
it's unbelievable. I'm not stalking you in a bad way, just in a good way, to see like how is your journey and what next level you actually reach. And I mean, like,
you're applauding from the sidelines.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. Well, I'm doing the same with you ladies. I'm watching. I stalk all of those Dubai weddings. I see you.
Let me I need to get the power, because I think we have a power problem here. Like, just get me.
Okay.
Just carry on.
Yeah.
So so we really thought. So by the end of 2019, we had finished paying for our building costs, and we only had the bond left, which was a significant achievement because, at one stage we were in such debt with our caterers and just a special shout out to Food by Andrew Japer. He was incredible throughout the whole process because he just kept on giving food and we didn't have the money to pay him, and it was incredible. And we really finished last year off thinking not thinking, knowing we had finally paid off all the building costs, and 2020 was going to be the year where we were going to finally make money. Yay!
Yeah.
Can't wait. And then we got back.
Was not only you. I mean, like,
everyone.
A lot of people think
2020 was the year for so many people. I mean, the number alone.
So then what happened?
Promising.
Yeah, it was the best promising year. So we arrived back. I arrived in Joburg that afternoon. I flew down to Cape Town. The very next day, we started setting up the Tebow wedding, and that was a significant setup. And there was a lot of logistical things that went into it. None of the locations were known by any of the guests, and it really was quite a substantial wedding to plan and to execute. And it was perfect. Every detail of it was perfect, and it looked beautiful, and it was exactly the way we wanted it. And coordinating these things from Fiji, from Thailand, with the last minute things, it all came together so beautifully. And then we got back in Johannesburg, and then a week later we had Simizi's wedding here at Inimitable, which was also a challenge in itself. I mean, we had politicians, and even up until the day before the president was going to attend, and we had to have bomb sweeps and all kinds of things. And I just kept on saying to myself, if I can just get through the Simizi wedding, I've done the Tebow, I've done the Simizi, then I can actually just enjoy 2020. And then 2 weeks later, enter Corona. As an industry, it hit us all like a ton of bricks. So, for us, it was, because I'm sure we'll talk about it, and now we can talk about it, I suppose. Corona was very tough on everyone. John and I found it particularly tough as we've got 91 employees. And going into it, there was this fear that what's going to happen to our employees and what's going to happen to our business. And, we've worked so hard to get to this point, and are we going to be okay? So John and I made an active decision to use the money that we have been saving for something very special. And we made sure that we continue to pay our staff and we continue to look after them. And we made it all the way through to now. And luckily the weddings are open and we can operate again. We still have all of our staff. And that's the end of my life story.
No, it's not the end of the life story. It's continuing. But I also appreciate that you say you made a decision to invest in your staff, because we did the same. We put our private money into the business at a time to survive, to give those families that rely on us actually the peace of mind that they will survive this, because
I think what I can just maybe say is when it's busy, we need people to work for us.
Yeah.
We want people to go the extra mile for us. We maybe have those last minute calls to say, can you do this? Can you not fetch that? Can you, you know? And then I think it's the responsibility of entrepreneurs, of business owners, to take care of their staff when they need you. And I think that is
without the obligation, without the law, without like being obliged to do that. I think this is our human responsibility to the resource that we work every day with, because they go through fire for us. So we have to do the same for them. I think that is, and that puts people together, you know, that next time they will do the same for us again. I think that is what forms like relationships, you know. It's not just an employer and an employee. We are a team.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you know, John and I sat in a situation where we, as, you know, I mentioned earlier, we really went through, you know, the toughest 2-3 years of our life. And the people who stood with us were our employees. And for us not to stand by them when they needed it was just, quite frankly, wrong. So we really made sure that we supported them and we looked after them. And it went from waiters to barman to ground staff to housekeeping to, you know, everyone. And, you know, it was a tough year, but, you know, look, we're there, we've all made it, and it's incredible. And I think this is what's going to, again, what I was talking about, the doers and the pointers, is that there was people that were actually doing it and looking after their staff and making sure that they had a future. And then there was the people that were pointing, who were just going, you know, off you go, and off you go, and off you go. And, you know, I realized that everyone has different situations and not everyone could keep their staff and could pay their staff. And I have absolute respect for that. I suppose all I'm saying is that we're just very fortunate that we were in a position to be where we were. And for that, 20 I will actually be grateful for, because it has taught us all beautiful life lessons.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, Corona is as terrible as it is. We said it many times. It is also something that comes out with a good result, because it all grounded us a bit more. It all gave us more perspective of what is important in life, what is just like not necessary, what we do not need, and it brought also people closer together. And I think this is what we all needed. And coming back to what you say, there is also something, I mean, we had yesterday an experience where we also say there's so many people in our industry, they had maybe in the past a very comfortable corner in the industry, because they got repeating business, they could grow into a business. They might actually also struggled a bit, but not as maybe as you and our journey is. You know, we had massive like mountains to climb, same like you and many others. But there is also other people, and the problem is, what I see is those people, they get it too easy. They have big problems right now to overcome the situation, because they never had to fight for something. We yesterday said they sit like the rabbit in front of the snake, you know, and I'm always saying, we are all sit like the rabbit in front of the snake, but we just the rabbit that can run faster than the snake is moving, right? Because we don't want to get bitten. So that's exactly what it is. But a lot of people, they had it so easy. They just sit. They can
in moments of pressure. Yeah, they can't think in moments of pressure and outside of the box, and maybe see how they can like move on with their business in a time where they cannot fall back to what has happened in the past. You know, from this point onwards, I think we are all clear that business as we know it is no longer possible. Like it will not come the time like that we all have been in January, maybe even, or what we were expecting this year to be. I mean, if that's not clear by the time now, then someone has missed the point. So my question would be for you, like apart from like those personal relationships also, and what you have learned is, how do you see the future of maybe weddings, particularly for you now, for your venue, but also generally in terms of maybe trends of not only because of the limitations in the number of guests, but also maybe what are people's focus when they are planning weddings? Like, what do you like foresee if you have like your little crystal ball there and you take like all the things exactly into consideration? And I think we all have like thought about this, like how to move on from here. What type of offerings can we maybe focus on more? What are people's wishes from this point onward? What do they want to focus on more? And maybe what is not so important?
Yeah. So, you know, for us, I think for the whole industry, it's going to take a couple of months for everyone to recover. If you were lucky, you had a lot more postponements than cancellations in the industry. We really do count ourselves amongst the lucky ones. To get back to what you were saying, it's how you treat people and what out there is what you're going to receive. So if you are complacent and if you're not evolving and you're not changing, you know, you're going to get left in the dirt. And you really need to be on it. And I think one of the things that, you know, for me, if I were to give advice to anyone in the industry that's listening, is to diversify, but don't go too crazy with your diversity, because, you know, if you are focusing on smaller, more intimate weddings, that is something that is trending right now. But it wasn't. It was trending about a month, 2 months ago. The smaller, intimate weddings. Weddings are back up to 250 now. So people that changed their whole mindset to smaller celebrations and doing that, now all of a sudden find themselves in a conundrum of like, okay, but now I've marketed myself as that person, so those big weddings are not coming to me anymore. So if you're going to diversify, make sure you are very communicative, that you are also offering this as an added on service, and that you're not forgetting where you come from. But having said that, if you stay complacent and think things are not going to change, they definitely are. You're going to see number of people at weddings are dropping. The budget spent at weddings are dropping. And really, that's the thing. And I feel like I'm talking in circles, but, you know, for people that look outward into each other's stories, you know, be careful in terms of assumptions, because, you know, you might think that, oh my goodness, you know, those people are doing so well, and, you know, they have got these big weddings and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, they've got a lot of smaller weddings in between. And it's really up to you as a business to market yourself in such a way that, what do you want to focus? Do you want to focus on big weddings, or do you want to focus on smaller, more intimate weddings? And, you know, if I had a crystal ball, and I looked into the future, you know, weddings and celebrations are going to be even more important now than they have ever been in the past.
Yeah.
People want to celebrate, and they want to celebrate those special occasions. And it's our responsibility as an industry to share in those stories with people. And by doing so, you can obviously get financial gain, but not just that, it's food for the soul. The last 7 months has been detrimental to the psyche and the soul of everyone in the industry of weddings, because we are so used to celebrating and being around mostly happy people, and that has been robbed from us. So I would say that if don't try to look too far into the future. Rather, focus on what makes you happy. Focus on what is going to keep you afloat, and really focus on that food for the soul, which is how you interpret wedding to be. So whether it's intimate, whether it's not intimate, and really adapt with the change. And really, when you get those inquiries for 50 people, 20 people, you have to make sure it makes financial sense for you to do it.
This is exactly what I wanted to say. I didn't want to interrupt you, but that's exactly what I wanted to say. A lot of people in our industry also struggle currently because they haven't got to the point to the right calculation. And don't be shy to ask for what is actually needed to ask. I mean, I sometimes I read in the Facebook groups or whatever, like where people like place requests on. I just had one request read the other day. There was a picture of almost like Karen Tran, like styling, right? And then there was a request, is 7,000 Rand enough for that? I mean, for what? For one thing?
For the
or
stand?
for the stand? Or for my labor for one thing? You know, that's even like I sometimes don't understand where these questions can come. I mean, I'm not blaming a bride for not knowing this. I'm not blaming them because I also don't know maybe what a car exactly costs, or I'm not an expert, but I expect from the florist in our country not to only do what a bride wants to get, but to train and teach the client what is necessary in order to achieve that, and to inform a bride, okay, this is a realistic price for that and that what you want. We can maybe give you a lookalike of this, but maybe you have to increase your budget on I don't know how much percent, or we keep your budget, but then please, we have to change your expectation. I think that is absolutely necessary. I don't have to try even to get 7,000 Rand in something what is already, because when this florist is asking in a group, right, there is already a doubt that she cannot do it, but she just want to hear that's not possible. And I think that is also a training, what I think is on us as people in the industry, to bring the information. And we talked about this already, like in next year, we will have more like workshops on our own to train people on flowers, how much cost flowers, how you have to proper calculate those things that you make money. I mean, it's not just, as you said before, it's not about being busy. I mean, you can be busy like mowing your garden or whatever. You don't even have to make flowers, but you have to make a living. That's what it is.
That's the thing. And during these difficult times, it doesn't help. Again, it comes back to the social media thing. It doesn't help you look busy if you're not actually making money. You've got expenses to pay and you've got, things to do. So you have to make money. And really thinking about how people charge for flowers and things, that, my advice to anyone would be, don't worry if someone undercuts you in terms of their costs and says, oh, well, I can do the same job for 50%. Because a saying that I always remind myself, when we don't get a big job and we lose it because we were possibly a little bit more expensive. And it's something that I very often tell my clients when they are weighing up which suppliers to use and which not to use because of pricing. I always remind them, and I say to them, if you think that an expert is expensive, wait until you hire an amateur.
Right.
And that is something that is really stuck with me, and it's something that is my way of training our clients. And when we do our flower schools, we really break down the costing. And true as Bob, every single flower school, when I tell someone that this arrangement that you're busy working on, we would charge 22,000 for one, they just go, "How?" Yeah. I started off like that, and I say, "You're not gonna make 22,000 Rand," and they just think there's just no way. Like, my wedding budgets are 22,000. I just make kind of. And then after they work on it, then we realize how much work goes into those arrangements, and how much effort and time and design goes into it. And they go, then I ask the ladies always, what would you charge for it now? And all of them go, oh, you're charging too little. I charge 30. And you know,
Yeah,
that's
but
the one.
also the flowers, you know, a lot of people don't even make a markup on the flowers. I mean, like, this is, you have to pick them up from the airport or from the market or from a farm or from wherever, you know, you have to prep them, you have to pamper them, you have to give them water, you have to feed them, you have to clean them. Like, that all needs time, you know, and people that do that must be included in that price of the flowers. And honestly, you cannot just give this one-to-one. That's not possible.
So to put it into perspective for anyone in the industry that's listening, you know, for example, like the Tebow wedding that happened on earlier in the year, you know, it was 7 days of setup. It was 220 crew members, and just the floristry was, I started to say, but it was almost 48 hours straight of working. And we had multiple shifts because that's what it takes to pull something off like that. Because remember, you're working with a product that dies.
Yes,
exactly.
It's a perishable product.
And I mean,
so
like,
it's
I
not
remember,
really-
I remember when you got the last tulips or whatsoever to Cape Town. I still remember that because I was at the airport and I didn't even know like that you need them for the next day. And when I saw the pictures, I said to Alfie, "What? That was the tulips actually from yesterday, right?" Like, whoo, like that is exactly, and you need multiple teams, you know, to make trained people, not just like little aunts, you know. You need team people. They have a clue about that.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You know, whenever, I don't know, maybe some advice. When you think your pricing is just right, increase it by another 40%.
That's where we want to leave it, Zavion. That's, I think, the best message we leave at the end. And yes. I think it's important just that we, like, for me, what I want is I want to raise the profession as a floral designer, not only in South Africa, but in Africa. Yeah. A lot of people say I'm just a florist, you know, and I think that is already a wrong starting point. A wrong mindset, and people like you hopefully as well, like, raise the entire industry just by also being proud ambassadors of what they are doing and showing what can be done, like how you can make money with thinking out of the box and following your dreams and your vision for what you want. And I thank you, we thank you for that.
Yeah, and I would just say thank you very much for sharing your 50 years in the industry. You really look good for that time. You know, like, I mean, like,
look at my gray. Actually, Sylvia, I'm sorry, I have to correct you. I've actually been in the industry for 721 and a half years. So
for that you look amazing.
Thank you. I am a vampire.
Is this something like reincarnation or what? But this is a totally different story.
100 years to my life every time I have one.
Oh, wonderful. Zavion, it was a very, very interesting story. Thank you so much for sharing it. Thank you so much for your time. We really enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun, and I think this is all about. And I got a lot of new ideas while I was talking to you, how we can actually bring the industry more together, because this is a little bit our personal journey. Not to be islands all over, not to be single survivors. We want to maybe put all the industry survivors on one island and one boat. Yeah.
Becoming a guy.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we wish you lots of more success. Stay safe, stay healthy. I think that is the most important.
To your husband, because I think also he is
the
as important as you are in the front. What he is
He's
doing.
Amazing. I love him so much, and thank you for having me, ladies. You know, obviously, yes, exclusive. You guys are incredible, and thank you to everyone watching. I can see Carol and Chisala and Olive and Edna. I can see you guys are here. Thank you for watching.
All of our mutual friends in the industry, like, we are very happy, like, from all over the world, people watching us, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day. We have big news in a couple of days for all of you, and you, Zavion, you will be surprised.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye,
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.